Welcome to Artificial Fluency Podcast. I'm Emma Roberts, and I'm absolutely thrilled you've joined me today for what I promise will be a transformative episode in your English learning journey. Today's episode is called Master English Conversations Like a Native Speaker, and that's exactly what we're going to achieve together. If you're at the intermediate level, you've already built a solid foundation in English grammar and vocabulary, but you might still struggle with sounding natural in conversations, understanding cultural nuances, or feeling confident when speaking with native speakers. What sets today's episode apart is that we're going beyond textbook English. We're diving deep into the real language that native speakers use every day, the idioms, the cultural references, the rhythm and flow of natural conversation, and most importantly, the confidence-building techniques that will help you feel comfortable in any English-speaking situation. Over the next hour, we'll explore 5 essential areas that separate intermediate learners from truly fluent speakers. First, we'll master small talk and social conversations, those seemingly simple interactions that actually require sophisticated cultural knowledge. Then we'll tackle workplace communication, including the subtle art of professional networking and office politics. Next, we'll explore expressing opinions and engaging in debates with confidence and diplomacy. After that, we'll work on storytelling and sharing experiences in compelling ways. Finally, we'll practice handling unexpected situations and problem-solving in English. Each segment includes real conversation examples, cultural explanations, and practical exercises you can use immediately. I'll share insider tips about American and British cultural differences, help you understand when to be formal versus casual, and teach you the secret phrases that native speakers use to sound articulate and confident. But most importantly, we're going to work on your mindset. Many intermediate learners have the language skills to communicate effectively, but they lack the confidence to use those skills naturally. Today, we're changing that. By the end of this episode, you'll have the tools and the confidence to engage in conversations like a native speaker. So, grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and prepare to transform your English conversation skills. Let's begin with the foundation of all English social interaction, small talk. Now, many English learners think small talk is small or unimportant, but that's absolutely wrong. Small talk is actually incredibly sophisticated because it requires cultural knowledge, emotional intelligence, and the ability to read social situations. Native speakers use small talk to build rapport, assess compatibility, and create comfortable social atmospheres. It's not about exchanging information, it's about establishing human connection. Let me demonstrate with a conversation you might hear at a coffee shop. As person A, "Oh wow, this line is moving so slowly. I guess everyone needs their caffeine fix this morning." As person B, "Tell me about it. I was running late already, and now I'm definitely going to be late for my meeting. But honestly, I can't function without my morning coffee." Same here. "What's your usual order? I'm always curious about what other people get." As person B, "I'm a creature of habit. Large oat milk latte with an extra shot. What about you?" "Ooh, fancy. I'm more basic, just a medium dark roast with a splash of cream. Though I have to admit, I'm tempted to try something different today." As person B, "You should. Life's too short for boring coffee. The caramel macchiato here is amazing if you want something sweeter." Now, let's analyze what just happened. This wasn't really about coffee. It was about creating a moment of shared experience and connection. Notice the conversation techniques. First, we started with a shared observation about the situation, the slow line. This creates immediate common ground. Then we used self-disclosure, sharing personal preferences and habits. This builds trust and intimacy. The phrase, "tell me about it," is a perfect example of conversational validation, acknowledging and agreeing with someone's experience. "I can't function without" is a common way to express dependency or strong preference. Creature of habit means someone who likes routine, while splash of cream shows specific vocabulary for describing food and drinks. Life's too short for is an idiom meaning you should enjoy things while you can. Now, let's practice different small talk scenarios. Here's a conversation at a work networking event. As professional A, "Hi there, I don't think we've met. I'm Sarah from the marketing department. How are you enjoying the conference so far?" As professional B, "Nice to meet you, Sarah. I'm Mike from Tech. It's been really insightful, actually. That presentation on digital transformation was eye-opening. Did you catch it?" Yes, the speaker made some excellent points about adapting to remote work challenges. It really got me thinking about how we could improve our virtual collaboration. Absolutely. We've been struggling with that too. It's such a balancing act between maintaining team culture and giving people flexibility. Exactly. It sounds like we're facing similar challenges. I'd love to hear more about your team's approach sometime. This professional small talk demonstrates several key techniques. Notice how they found common ground through the shared conference experience, then connected it to their work challenges. The phrase eye-opening means surprising or revelatory, while balancing act describes managing competing priorities. The key to great small talk is showing genuine interest and finding connections. Use phrases like, "That's interesting," or "I can relate to that," and "Tell me more about that," to keep conversations flowing. Now, let's practice small talk in different cultural contexts. Here's a conversation that might happen in an elevator. As person A, pleasant, filling awkward silence. "Beautiful day outside, isn't it? Finally feels like spring is here." As person B, "Oh, definitely. I was so tired of the gray winter weather. It makes such a difference to see some sunshine." I know, right? I already started planning weekend hiking trips. There's something about nice weather that just makes you want to be outdoors. That sounds wonderful. I'm more of an indoor person myself, but I do love opening all the windows and letting fresh air in. This elevator conversation shows how weather talk, often considered boring, actually serves important social functions. It's a safe, universal topic that allows people to share preferences and personality traits without being too personal. "I know, right?" is a casual way to strongly agree. "There's something about that just makes you" is a useful pattern for expressing how one thing influences your feelings or behavior. The key to mastering small talk is understanding that it's not about the topics. It's about the social dance. You're showing that you're friendly, approachable, and culturally aware. Practice these conversation starters. How's your day going so far? Have you tried the food, drink, or activity here before? I love your item of clothing or accessory. Where did you get it? This weather, event, situation is adjective, isn't it? Are you from around here originally? Remember, the goal isn't to become best friends. It's to create a pleasant, brief connection that makes both people feel good about the interaction. Now let's elevate our conversation skills to the professional level. Workplace communication requires a delicate balance of being friendly yet professional, confident yet diplomatic, and assertive yet collaborative. These conversations can make or break your career, so let's master them. Let's start with a typical office conversation about a project deadline. "Hi, Jessica. Do you have a minute to chat about the Morrison project? I wanted to check in on how things are progressing." Of course. I'm glad you asked. We're actually ahead of schedule on most deliverables. The research phase wrapped up yesterday, and we're moving into the design phase now. That's excellent news. Any challenges or roadblocks I should be aware of? Well, there is one potential issue. The client requested some additional features that weren't in the original scope. They're not deal breakers, but they would add about a week to our timeline. I see. What's your recommendation on how to handle this? I think we have a couple of options. We could deliver the original scope on time and propose the additional features as a phase 2. Or we could incorporate them now but adjust the deadline. I'd recommend the phase 2 approach to maintain our credibility with the timeline. That sounds like a solid approach. Let's schedule a client call to discuss the options. Great work staying on top of this. This conversation demonstrates several crucial workplace communication skills. Notice how Jessica was proactive about providing updates, transparent about challenges, and came prepared with solutions rather than just problems. Key phrases include check in on, meaning to monitor progress, wrapped up, meaning completed, and deal breakers, meaning factors that would ruin the project. Scope refers to the agreed upon project parameters. The phrase, I see, shows understanding and consideration, while solid approach indicates approval. These neutral, professional responses help maintain good working relationships. Now, let's practice a more challenging conversation, asking for a raise. Thank you for making time to meet with me, David. I wanted to discuss my role and compensation based on my performance over the past year. Of course, Sarah. I'm always happy to discuss career development. What specifically did you want to address? I've really enjoyed taking on additional responsibilities this year, leading the client retention project and mentoring our new hires. Based on my research of market rates and my expanded role, I'd like to discuss adjusting my salary. You've definitely stepped up this year. The client retention project was particularly successful. What kind of adjustment were you thinking? Based on industry benchmarks for my role and experience level, I believe a 15% increase would be appropriate. I've prepared a summary of my key achievements and additional responsibilities if you'd like to review it. I appreciate you coming prepared with data. Let me review this information and discuss it with HR. Can we schedule a follow-up meeting next week? This conversation showcases how to approach sensitive workplace topics professionally. Sarah prepared with data, focused on value delivered, and presented specific numbers rather than vague requests. Stepped up means performed beyond expectations, while industry benchmarks refers to standard market rates. Follow-up meeting shows professional process management. Let's practice networking conversation at a professional conference. Hi, I really enjoyed your presentation on sustainable marketing practices. I'm Alex Chen from Green Tech Solutions. Your insights about consumer behavior were spot on. Thank you so much. I'm Rachel Martinez from EcoConsult. It's always great to meet someone in a related field. What kind of work does Green Tech focus on? We develop software solutions for companies wanting to track and reduce their environmental impact. Your point about authentic messaging really resonated with our client challenges. That sounds fascinating. We often work with companies struggling to communicate their sustainability efforts effectively. There might be some interesting collaboration opportunities. I'd love to explore that. Would you be open to grabbing coffee sometime next week to discuss how our approaches might complement each other? Absolutely. Let me give you my card. I'm always interested in connecting with innovative companies in the sustainability space.
This networking conversation demonstrates perfect professional relationship building. Notice how they found common ground, expressed genuine interest, and suggested concrete next steps. Spot on means exactly right, while resonated with means connected strongly with their experience. Complement each other suggests working well together. Key networking phrases to remember are I'd love to learn more about. That's a really interesting perspective on. I think there might be some synergy between would you be open to continuing this conversation? I'd appreciate the opportunity to. Remember, professional networking isn't about collecting business cards. It's about building genuine relationships based on mutual interest and potential value exchange. Now, let's develop your ability to express opinions confidently and engage in thoughtful debates. This is where many intermediate learners struggle because it requires not just language skills, but cultural understanding of how to disagree respectfully and present arguments persuasively. Let's start with a conversation about a controversial topic: remote work policies. I've been thinking about our company's new return to office policy, and honestly, I think it's a step backward. We've proven that remote work can be just as productive, and it offers so much better work-life balance. I can see your point about work-life balance, and that's definitely important. But I think there's something to be said for in-person collaboration. Some of our best brainstorming sessions happen spontaneously when we're all in the same space. That's a fair argument. I guess it might depend on the type of work you're doing. For individual tasks, I'm definitely more focused at home, but you're right that creative collaboration can be more dynamic in person. Exactly. Maybe the solution isn't all or nothing. What if we had a hybrid approach where people come in for specific collaborative projects, but work from home for focused individual work? Now, that's an interesting idea. It would give us the best of both worlds. Though I wonder how we'd coordinate schedules to make sure the right people are in the office at the same time. Good point. It would definitely require more planning and coordination, but if it means better productivity and job satisfaction, it might be worth the extra effort. This conversation demonstrates excellent opinion sharing and debate skills. Notice how both speakers acknowledged each other's valid points before presenting alternative viewpoints. This is crucial for maintaining respectful dialogue. Key phrases for expressing opinions include "I think," "in my opinion," "from my perspective," and "the way I see it." To acknowledge others' viewpoints, use "I can see your point," "That's a fair argument," and "You make a good point." "There's something to be said for" means there are valid reasons to consider something. "Best of both worlds" means getting all the advantages without the disadvantages.
Now let's practice discussing a more personal topic: lifestyle choices. Curious, non-judgmental. I noticed you've been really into that minimalism thing lately. What got you interested in living with less stuff? Enthusiastic, explanatory. It started when I moved apartments and realized how much junk I'd accumulated. I began questioning whether all these possessions were actually making me happier, and honestly, they weren't. I can relate to that feeling of being overwhelmed by stuff. But don't you sometimes miss having options? Like, what if you get rid of something and then need it later? That's actually a common concern, and I had it too initially. But I found that 90% of the things I thought I might need again, I never actually needed. And for the few times I did need something, borrowing it or buying it again was less stressful than storing everything just in case. That makes sense. I guess I'm just worried I'd regret getting rid of sentimental items. How do you handle things with emotional value? That's definitely the hardest part. I keep a small selection of truly meaningful items and take photos of things that have memories but aren't practically useful. It's about being intentional rather than keeping everything. This conversation shows how to discuss personal choices without being defensive or judgmental. Notice how friend A asked genuine questions rather than challenging the lifestyle, and friend B explained the reasoning without being preachy. "I can relate to that" means sharing a similar experience. "Just in case" means keeping something for potential future use. Being intentional means making conscious, purposeful decisions. Let's practice a more formal debate about a social issue.
Environmental responsibility. Structured, persuasive. I believe individual actions are crucial for addressing climate change. When millions of people make small changes, using less plastic, driving less, consuming more mindfully, the cumulative impact is significant. Analytical counter-argument. While I appreciate the sentiment, I think focusing on individual responsibility actually distracts from the real issue: corporate and government policy changes. 100 companies produce 71% of global emissions. Individual actions are drops in the ocean. That's a compelling statistic, and you're absolutely right that systemic change is essential. However, I'd argue that individual actions and policy changes aren't mutually exclusive. Consumer demand drives corporate behavior, and engaged citizens are more likely to vote for environmental policies. That's a nuanced perspective, and I agree they're not mutually exclusive. My concern is that emphasizing individual responsibility can lead to guilt and burnout while letting major polluters off the hook. We need to be strategic about where we direct our energy. I completely understand that concern. Perhaps the key is balance, taking meaningful individual actions while also advocating for systemic change. It's not about choosing one or the other, but about creating momentum on multiple fronts. This formal debate demonstrates sophisticated argumentation skills. Notice how both speakers used evidence, acknowledged valid opposing points, and built on each other's arguments rather than simply contradicting them. Compelling means convincing, while mutually exclusive means two things that can't both be true. Letting off the hook means allowing someone to avoid responsibility. Multiple fronts means various approaches simultaneously. Essential debate phrases. While I understand your position, that raises an important point. I'd argue that the evidence suggests, on the other hand, that's a nuanced perspective.
Now let's master the art of storytelling and sharing experiences. This is where your English can truly shine because good storytelling combines language skills with personality, emotion, and cultural understanding. Great storytellers are always popular in any language. Let's start with a travel story that demonstrates excellent narrative techniques. I have to tell you about the most incredible travel experience I had last month in Japan. I was supposed to take the bullet train from Tokyo to Osaka, but I made this classic tourist mistake. I got on the wrong train and ended up in a tiny mountain village that wasn't even on my map. Oh no! What did you do? Were you completely lost? Initially, I was panicking because nobody spoke English and my Japanese is basically non-existent. But then, this elderly woman noticed I looked confused and started trying to help me. She didn't speak any English either, but she had this smartphone translator app. That's so sweet of her. Did the app actually work? Sort of. We had this hilarious conversation through Google Translate where she kept asking if I was hungry, and I kept asking about trains. It turned out the next train back wasn't for 4 hours, so she basically adopted me for the afternoon. She adopted you? What do you mean? She insisted on taking me to this tiny local restaurant where I had the most amazing ramen of my life, then showed me around the village shrine, and even introduced me to her friends at a community center where they were doing calligraphy. That sounds absolutely magical. Sometimes the best travel experiences happen when things go wrong. Exactly. By the time I caught the train back to Tokyo, I felt like I'd experienced the real Japan in a way that never would have happened if I'd followed my original plan. I even learned to write my name in Japanese characters. This story demonstrates several excellent storytelling techniques. Notice how it starts with a hook, the most incredible travel experience, that makes the listener want to know more. The storyteller builds suspense by explaining the problem before revealing the solution.
Great storytelling vocabulary includes classic mistake for a common error, basically non-existent for very limited, and adopted me used metaphorically to mean took care of. Magical describes something wonderful and almost unbelievable. The story has a clear structure: setup, wrong train; conflict, being lost; rising action, helpful woman; climax, village experience; and resolution, valuable lesson learned. This narrative arc keeps listeners engaged. Now let's practice sharing a personal achievement story. You know how I've been terrified of public speaking my whole life? Well, I just gave my first presentation at work, and it actually went really well. That's huge! I know how much you were dreading it. What was the presentation about? It was about our team's quarterly results. I spent weeks preparing because I was so nervous. I practiced in the mirror, recorded myself, even made my roommate listen to it about 5 times. Wow, you really went all out with the preparation. How did you feel when you were actually presenting? The first few minutes were terrifying. My heart was pounding, and I could hear my voice shaking. But then something clicked. I started focusing on the content instead of my nervousness, and I actually began enjoying it. That's amazing. I love hearing about people conquering their fears. How did your colleagues react? That was the best part. Afterwards, my manager said it was one of the clearest presentations she'd heard in months. A few colleagues even came up to ask questions and compliment my analysis. You should be so proud of yourself. This is definitely going to boost your confidence for future presentations. This personal achievement story shows how to share successes without sounding boastful. The storyteller acknowledges the fear, describes the preparation process, and includes specific details that make the story relatable and authentic. Went all out means put maximum effort into something. Something clicked describes a moment when everything suddenly made sense. Conquering fears means overcoming things that scare you. Let's practice a funny mishap story. I had the most embarrassing moment at the grocery store yesterday. I'm still cringing thinking about it. Oh no, what happened? Now I have to hear this story. So I'm in the produce section trying to pick out avocados, and I'm doing that thing where you gently squeeze them to test if they're ripe, right? Right, everyone does that. Well, apparently I squeezed one too hard because it literally exploded in my hand. Avocado pulp went everywhere, on my shirt, on the floor, even on this poor woman standing next to me. Oh my God. What did you do? I was mortified. I started apologizing profusely to everyone around me. The store employee was actually really nice about it, but I ended up buying like 6 avocados out of guilt, even though I only needed one. That's hilarious. I bet everyone thought it was funny rather than annoying. These things happen to everyone. You're probably right. Looking back, it is pretty funny, though I might stick to pre-packaged produce for a while. This funny story works because it's relatable, includes specific sensory details, and shows the storyteller can laugh at themselves. The embarrassment makes it endearing rather than just random. Cringing means feeling embarrassed about a memory. Mortified means extremely embarrassed. Profusely means excessively or abundantly. Key storytelling techniques to remember. Start with a compelling hook. Include specific details and sensory information. Build suspense and tension. Show emotions and reactions. End with a meaningful conclusion or lesson. Use vivid descriptive language. Vary your pace and tone for dramatic effect.
For our final segment, let's master handling unexpected situations and problem-solving in English. These conversations test your language skills under pressure and show your ability to think on your feet. This is where true fluency really shines. Let's start with a travel emergency scenario. Excuse me, I'm hoping you can help me. My flight was just canceled due to weather, and I have a really important meeting tomorrow morning in Chicago. What are my options? I'm so sorry about the cancellation. Let me see what I can do for you. What time is your meeting, and is there any flexibility with the timing? The meeting is at 9 a.m., and unfortunately, it can't be rescheduled. It's a job interview I've been preparing for months. I completely understand the urgency. Let me check alternative flights. We have a red-eye flight tonight at 11:30 p.m. that would get you there by 6 a.m. It's not ideal, but it would give you time to get to your meeting. That could work. What about my luggage? I have my interview materials and a suit that I really need. For the red-eye, you can definitely carry on your essentials. I'll also waive the change fee, given the circumstances, and we'll provide a hotel voucher if you need to rest before your meeting. That's incredibly helpful, thank you. How do I rebook, and what do I need to do about my original reservation? I'll handle everything right here. Let me get you rebooked and print your new boarding pass. You'll want to head to gate B15 by 10:30 p.m. This emergency conversation demonstrates staying calm under pressure, clearly explaining needs, and working collaboratively toward solutions. The traveler provided essential context about the meeting's importance, which helped the agent prioritize assistance. Red-eye flight means an overnight flight. Waive the fee means eliminate the charge. Given the circumstances means considering the special situation. Now let's practice a workplace crisis scenario. Sarah, we have a major problem with the Johnson presentation. The client just called and moved the meeting up to this afternoon, but half our team is out sick with the flu. Okay, let's think through this step by step. What's absolutely essential for the presentation, and what could we postpone or simplify? The financial projections are crucial. The client specifically requested those. The market analysis is important, but less critical. The design mock-ups are nice to have, but not essential. All right, let's prioritize the financials and include a simplified version of the market overview. Can you handle the financial section while I put together a streamlined market overview? Definitely. I'll also reach out to Tom. He's working from home, but might be able to join the call virtually to answer any technical questions. Perfect idea. Let's aim to have everything ready by 1 p.m. for a quick review before the 2 p.m. meeting. We'll keep it focused and professional. Sometimes less is more. Sounds like a plan. I'll start pulling the financial data now and send you what I have by noon. This workplace crisis demonstrates effective problem-solving communication. Notice how they quickly assessed priorities, divided tasks based on strengths, and maintained realistic timelines. Step by step means methodically and carefully. Nice to have means desirable but not essential. Streamlined means simplified and efficient. Let's practice a customer service problem-solving scenario. I'm having a really frustrating issue with my online order. I paid for express shipping because I need this gift for tomorrow, but the tracking shows it won't arrive until next week. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, and I completely understand your frustration. Let me look into your order immediately and see how we can resolve this. I appreciate that. The order number is 789456. It's a birthday gift for my daughter, and I really can't wait another week. I see your order here, and you're absolutely right. There was an error in our shipping department. Let me check what we can do. We have the same item at a store location near you. Would you be able to pick it up today? That could work if it's not too far. Which location, and will I get a refund for the shipping charge? It's our downtown location, about 15 minutes from your address. I'll absolutely refund the express shipping. And I'll also apply a 20% discount for the inconvenience. I'll have everything ready for pickup within 2 hours. That's actually better than I hoped for. Thank you for going above and beyond to fix this. It's my pleasure. I'm a parent too, so I know how important it is to come through for your kids. I'll send you a confirmation email with all the details. This customer service interaction shows how good problem-solving involves empathy, quick thinking, and going beyond minimum requirements to create positive outcomes. Going above and beyond means doing more than expected. Come through for means successfully help someone. Key problem-solving phrases include, "Let me look into this," "Here's what we can do," and "I'll make sure this gets resolved."
Essential problem-solving communication skills. Stay calm and assess the situation objectively. Ask clarifying questions to understand the real problem. Brainstorm multiple solutions before choosing one. Communicate clearly about next steps and timelines. Follow up to ensure the solution worked. Learn from the experience to prevent future issues.
What an incredible journey we've taken together today. We've covered the 5 essential conversation skills that separate intermediate learners from truly fluent speakers. We started with mastering small talk and social conversations, where you learned that small talk isn't small at all. It's the foundation of relationship building and requires sophisticated cultural awareness and emotional intelligence. Then we tackled workplace communication and professional networking, developing the diplomatic language and confidence needed to navigate office politics, ask for raises, and build career-advancing relationships. We explored expressing opinions and engaging in debates, learning how to disagree respectfully, acknowledge others' viewpoints, and present compelling arguments without damaging relationships. We developed storytelling and experience-sharing skills, mastering the narrative techniques that make you an engaging conversationalist people remember and want to talk to again. Finally, we practiced handling unexpected situations and problem-solving, building the confidence to think on your feet and communicate effectively under pressure. But beyond these specific skills, we've worked on something even more important: your mindset. You now understand that native-like fluency isn't about perfect grammar or extensive vocabulary. It's about cultural awareness, emotional intelligence, and the confidence to engage authentically with others. The secret to mastering English conversations is this: focus on connection over correction. When you're genuinely interested in others, when you share your authentic self, and when you approach conversations with curiosity rather than fear, your English naturally becomes more fluent and engaging. Your homework this week is to practice one skill from each segment we covered. Start a conversation with a stranger using small talk techniques. Practice expressing an opinion about something you care about. Share a story from your life with someone. Most importantly, embrace opportunities for unexpected conversations. They're the best practice you can get. Remember, every native speaker was once learning these conversation skills too. The difference is that they learned them as children through thousands of hours of practice. You're doing this as an adult, which is actually harder, but also means you can be more strategic and intentional about your learning. You have all the tools you need to master English conversations like a native speaker. Trust your abilities, embrace the learning process, and remember that every conversation is an opportunity to improve. Thank you for spending this hour with me developing your conversation mastery. I'm Emma Roberts, and I believe in your potential to become a truly confident English speaker. Until next time, keep practicing, keep connecting, and remember, you're much closer to fluency than you think.
Welcome to English Listening Practice. I'm Emma Richards, and today we're going on a listening journey that will truly transform your English comprehension skills. This episode is specially designed for B1 and B2 learners who want to challenge themselves with real English conversations, stories, and interviews. We'll practice listening to different accents, speeds, and topics that you'll encounter in the real world. Here's how today's episode works. I'll present various listening segments, each followed by comprehension questions and vocabulary explanations. Don't worry if you don't catch everything the first time. That's completely normal and part of the learning process. I recommend having a notebook ready. After each segment, I'll give you time to think about the questions before providing the answers. You can pause any time to replay sections or take notes. Today's episode includes 5 different listening challenges: a travel story, a job interview, a restaurant conversation, a news report, and a friendship dialogue. Each segment gets progressively more challenging, so you'll build confidence as we go. Remember, listening is a skill that improves with practice. Even native speakers sometimes ask for clarification, so don't be discouraged if you need to listen more than once. Let's begin our listening adventure. Our first listening segment is a travel story. You'll hear me tell you about a memorable trip to Scotland. Listen for the main events, the problems I encountered, and how I solved them. Pay attention to past tense verbs and time expressions. Here's the story. Listen carefully. Last summer, I decided to take a solo trip to Scotland. I'd always dreamed of visiting the Scottish Highlands and seeing the famous Loch Ness. I booked a small rental car and planned a week-long adventure. My journey began in Edinburgh, where I spent 2 days exploring the historic Royal Mile and visiting Edinburgh Castle. The weather was surprisingly sunny. Everyone told me it would rain constantly, but I was lucky. On the third day, I drove north toward Inverness. The scenery was absolutely breathtaking, rolling green hills, ancient castles, and sheep everywhere. However, about halfway through my journey, disaster struck. My car broke down in a small village called Pitlochry. I was initially panicked because I don't know much about cars, and I was in the middle of nowhere. But the local people were incredibly helpful. A kind elderly man named Donald offered to help me. He called his nephew, who was a mechanic, and within 2 hours, my car was fixed. While waiting for the repair, Donald invited me for tea at his cottage. We talked for hours about Scottish history, traditions, and local legends. He even taught me some basic Scottish Gaelic phrases. It turned out to be the highlight of my entire trip. The rest of my journey went smoothly. I saw Loch Ness, no monster unfortunately, and hiked through the stunning Highlands. The experience taught me that sometimes the best travel memories come from unexpected situations and the kindness of strangers. Now, let's check your comprehension. I'll give you a moment to think about each question before providing the answer. Question 1. How long was Emma's trip to Scotland planned to be? The answer is 1 week. I said I planned a week-long adventure. Question 2. What problem did Emma encounter during her trip? Her car broke down in a small village called Pitlochry. Question 3. Who helped Emma with her car problem? An elderly man named Donald and his nephew, who was a mechanic. Question 4. What did Emma learn from Donald besides getting her car fixed? She learned about Scottish history, traditions, local legends, and some basic Scottish Gaelic phrases. Question 5. Did Emma see the Loch Ness Monster? No, she didn't. I mentioned no monster, unfortunately. Excellent! Now let's review some key vocabulary from this story. Solo trip, travelin' alone. Breathtaking, extremely beautiful or impressive. Disaster struck, something bad happened suddenly. In the middle of nowhere, in a very remote place. Highlight, the best or most important part. Stunning, extremely beautiful. Kindness of strangers, help from people you don't know. Notice how I used past tense throughout the story and included time expressions like last summer, on the third day, and within 2 hours. These help organize the narrative chronologically. Friendly, conversational, and natural. Speak as if talking to a friend. Use slight pauses and emphasis to keep it engaging. Avoid sounding scripted. Keep it real and relatable. Now let's practice with a job interview dialogue. You'll hear a conversation between a job candidate named Sarah and an interviewer named Mr. Johnson. Listen for Sarah's qualifications, her experience, and how she answers challenging questions. This segment will help you with formal English, professional vocabulary, and interview techniques. Pay attention to the polite language and how Sarah structures her responses. Here's the interview. As Mr. Johnson, professional, slightly formal tone. Good morning, Sarah. Thank you for coming in today. Please, have a seat. Sarah, confident, friendly tone. Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I'm excited about this opportunity. Excellent. Let's begin. Could you tell me a bit about your background and why you're interested in this marketing position? Certainly. I have a bachelor's degree in marketing from State University, and I've been working in digital marketing for the past 3 years. Currently, I'm a marketing specialist at TechStart Solutions, where I manage social media campaigns and content creation. I'm particularly drawn to this position because your company has such an innovative approach to sustainable products. I believe my experience in digital marketing, combined with my passion for environmental causes, would be a great fit for your team. That's impressive. Can you give me an example of a successful campaign you've managed? Absolutely. Last year, I led a campaign for our eco-friendly product line that increased online sales by 45% over 3 months. The campaign included Instagram and Facebook advertising, influencer partnerships, and a content series about sustainable living. The key was understanding our target audience, young professionals who care about environmental impact but still want convenient solutions. We created content that was both informative and engaging, which really resonated with our customers. Excellent results. Now, what would you say is your greatest weakness? That's a great question. I'd say my greatest weakness is that I sometimes focus too much on perfecting details, which can slow down my initial productivity. However, I've been working on this by setting strict deadlines for myself and learning to prioritize which details truly matter for the overall success of a project. I've also started using project management tools to better track my time and ensure I'm meeting all deadlines while still maintaining quality standards. I appreciate your honesty. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years, I see myself in a senior marketing role, possibly leading a team of marketing professionals. I'd love to specialize further in sustainable marketing strategies and help companies communicate their environmental initiatives effectively. I'm also interested in continuing my education, perhaps pursuing a master's degree in marketing or taking specialized courses in data analytics to complement my creative skills. Those are ambitious but realistic goals. Do you have any questions for me about the position or the company? Yes, I do. Could you tell me more about the team I'd be working with? And what would you say are the biggest challenges facing the marketing department right now? Great questions. You'd be working with a team of 5 marketing professionals, and we're currently focused on expanding our reach in the European market. The biggest challenge is adapting our messaging for different cultural contexts while maintaining our brand consistency. That sounds both challenging and exciting. I actually have some experience with international marketing from my previous internship, so I'd be eager to contribute to that effort. Wonderful. Well, Sarah, thank you for your time today. We'll be in touch within the next week. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. I really enjoyed our conversation and look forward to hearing from you. Now, let's test your comprehension of this interview. Question 1. What is Sarah's current job title? Marketing Specialist at TechStart Solutions. Question 2. What impressive result did Sarah achieve with her campaign? She increased online sales by 45% over 3 months. Question 3. What does Sarah say is her greatest weakness? She focuses too much on perfecting details, which can slow down her initial productivity. Question 4. What are Sarah's 5-year career goals? She wants to be in a senior marketing role, possibly leading a team, and specializing in sustainable marketing strategies. She also wants to continue her education. Question 5. What challenge is the marketing department currently facing? Expanding their reach in the European market and adapting messaging for different cultural contexts while maintaining brand consistency. Let's review the professional vocabulary from this interview. Background, personal and professional history, drawn to, attracted to or interested in, resonated with, connected with or appealed to, target audience, the specific group of people a campaign aims to reach, prioritize, to put things in order of importance, ambitious but realistic, challenging goals that are still achievable, brand consistency, maintaining the same brand message across different markets, be in touch, to contact someone, look forward to anticipate something positively. Notice how Sarah used the STAR method, situation, task, action, result, when describing her campaign success. This is a great technique for answering interview questions with specific examples. For our third segment, let's listen to a restaurant conversation. You'll hear a dialogue between a server named Maria and two customers, James and Lisa, who are celebrating their anniversary. Listen for how they order, ask questions about the menu, and handle a small problem. This segment will help you with service industry vocabulary, food descriptions, and polite requests. Pay attention to the informal but polite tone used in restaurants. Here's the restaurant conversation. As Maria. Good evening. Welcome to Bella Vista. Do you have a reservation? As James. Yes, we have a table for two under the name James. As Maria. Perfect. Right this way. Here's your table by the window. You have a lovely view of the garden. Can I start you off with something to drink? As Lisa. Oh, this view is beautiful. I'd love to see your wine menu, please. Of course. Here's our wine selection. We have some excellent Italian wines that pair beautifully with our dishes. Are you celebrating something special tonight? As James. Actually, yes. It's our 5th wedding anniversary. Congratulations! That's wonderful! In that case, let me recommend our chef's special appetizer. It's complimentary for anniversary couples. As Lisa, that's so thoughtful. What's the special appetizer? It's our signature bruschetta with fresh tomatoes, basil, and mozzarella, drizzled with balsamic glaze. It's absolutely delicious. As James, that sounds perfect. For wine, could you recommend something that goes well with seafood? I'm thinking of ordering the salmon. Excellent choice. I'd recommend our Pinot Grigio. It's crisp and light, perfect with fish. Lisa, have you decided what you'd like to drink? I'm not much of a wine drinker. Do you have any signature cocktails? Absolutely. Our most popular is the Bella Vista Spritz. It's made with Prosecco, elderflower liqueur, and fresh mint. It's refreshing and not too strong. That sounds perfect. Wonderful. I'll get those drinks started. Take your time with the menu, and I'll be back in a few minutes to take your order. How are we doing? Ready to order? I think so. I'll have the grilled salmon with the herb butter, and could I get the roasted vegetables instead of the rice? Of course. And for you, Lisa? I'm torn between the chicken marsala and the vegetarian pasta. What would you recommend? Both are excellent, but the chicken marsala is one of our most popular dishes. The sauce is rich and creamy, and it comes with garlic mashed potatoes. The pasta is lighter. It has seasonal vegetables and a lovely olive oil and herb sauce. The chicken marsala sounds delicious. I'll go with that. Excellent choices. Your meals will be ready in about 20 minutes. How is everything tasting? The salmon is cooked perfectly, but I think there might be a small issue with my vegetables. They seem a bit cold. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Let me get you a fresh portion right away. There's no charge, of course. Thank you so much. No need to rush. Everything else is wonderful. I appreciate your patience. And since it's your anniversary, I'll make sure the chef prepares something special for dessert. It's on the house. You're so kind. This has been such a lovely evening. It's our pleasure. Celebrating love is what makes this job wonderful. Now, let's check your understanding of this restaurant conversation. Question 1. What special occasion are James and Lisa celebrating? Their 5th wedding anniversary. Question 2. What complimentary appetizer did Maria offer? Signature bruschetta with fresh tomatoes, basil, and mozzarella drizzled with balsamic glaze. Question 3. What wine did Maria recommend for James's salmon? Pinot Grigio, because it's crisp and light and goes well with fish. Question 4. What drink did Lisa choose? The Bella Vista Spritz, made with Prosecco, elderflower liqueur, and fresh mint. Question 5. What problem occurred during the meal and how was it resolved? James's vegetables were cold. Maria apologized and offered to bring a fresh portion at no charge, plus promised a special dessert on the house. Let's review the restaurant vocabulary. Reservation, booking a table in advance. Pair beautifully, go well together, food and wine. Complimentary, free of charge. Signature dish, a restaurant's special or famous dish. Drizzled with, lightly covered with a sauce. Crisp and light, description of wine that's fresh and not heavy. Torn between, having difficulty choosing. On the house, free, paid for by the restaurant. No need to rush, take your time. Appreciate your patience. Thank you for waiting. Notice how Maria used polite service language like, of course, absolutely, and it's our pleasure. She also handled the complaint professionally by apologizing, offering an immediate solution, and providing extra compensation. Our 4th segment is a news report about a community garden project. This will challenge your listening skills with more formal vocabulary, statistics, and multiple speakers. Listen for the main facts, the benefits of the project, and the different perspectives presented. News reports often include interviews with various people, so you'll hear different voices and speaking styles. Pay attention to how the reporter introduces each speaker and summarizes information. Here's the news report. As news anchor. Good evening. I'm Emma Richards with Channel 7 News. Tonight, we're reporting on an inspiring community initiative that's transforming an abandoned lot in downtown Springfield into a thriving community garden. The Springfield Community Garden Project, launched 6 months ago, has already seen remarkable success. The initiative began when local resident Margaret Chen noticed that a vacant lot on Maple Street had been unused for over 3 years. We spoke with Margaret earlier today about how this project came to life. As Margaret Chen, I was walking my dog past this lot every day, and it just broke my heart to see such a beautiful space going to waste. There's so much concrete in our neighborhood, and families need access to fresh, healthy food. I started by talking to my neighbors, and the response was overwhelming. Within 2 weeks, we had over 50 volunteers and a clear vision for what we wanted to create. As news anchor, the project received initial funding of $25,000 from the City Council and additional donations from local businesses, totaling $8,000. The garden now features 40 individual plots, a communal herb section, and a children's learning area. Dr. Robert Martinez, a nutrition specialist at Springfield General Hospital, explains the health benefits of community gardens. As Dr. Martinez, community gardens provide numerous health benefits. Participants get physical exercise through gardening activities, which can improve cardiovascular health and reduce stress levels. More importantly, these gardens increase access to fresh vegetables and fruits, which is particularly significant in urban areas where healthy food options may be limited or expensive. Studies show that people who participate in community gardens consume more fruits and vegetables than those who don't. As news anchor, the project hasn't been without challenges. Initial concerns included soil contamination, water access, and neighborhood safety. However, the community worked together to address these issues. City environmental engineer Sarah Thompson supervised the soil testing and remediation process. As Sarah Thompson, we conducted comprehensive soil tests and discovered some contamination from the lot's previous use as a gas station. We removed the contaminated soil and brought in certified organic soil for the garden beds. The city also installed a water line and security lighting to ensure the garden is safe and accessible for families to use during daylight hours. Local teacher Amanda Foster has been coordinating the children's education program, which serves 30 students from 3 nearby elementary schools. As Amanda Foster, the children are absolutely fascinated by the growing process. We've integrated garden activities into our science curriculum, teaching them about plant biology, nutrition, and environmental responsibility. Last month, the kids harvested their first tomatoes and peppers, and they were so proud to take them home to their families. It's wonderful to see children develop a connection with their food and understand where it comes from. As news anchor, the garden's success has inspired similar projects in other neighborhoods. 3 additional community gardens are planned for next year, with the city allocating $75,000 for expansion. However, the project faces ongoing challenges. Maintenance costs, seasonal weather challenges, and the need for continued volunteer participation remain concerns. Margaret Chen remains optimistic about the future. This garden has brought our community together in ways I never imagined. Neighbors who had never spoken to each other are now sharing recipes and gardening tips. Children are learning, families are eating healthier, and we've created something beautiful together. The key to success is community involvement. Gardens require daily attention, and we've learned that success depends on having dedicated volunteers who are committed to the long-term vision. The Springfield Community Garden Project serves as a model for urban communities seeking to improve food access, community health, and neighborhood connections. For those interested in getting involved, the garden holds volunteer orientation sessions every Saturday at 10 a.m. For Channel 7 News, I'm Emma Richards. Now let's test your comprehension of this news report. Question 1. How long has the Springfield Community Garden Project been running? Pause 10 seconds. 6 months. Question 2. What was the total funding received for the project? Pause 10 seconds. $33,000 total, $25,000 from the City Council and $8,000 from local businesses. Question 3. What health benefits did Dr. Martinez mention? Pause 10 seconds. Physical exercise, improved cardiovascular health, reduced stress, and increased consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables. Question 4. What environmental challenge did the project face? Pause 10 seconds. Soil contamination from the lot's previous use as a gas station. Question 5. How many children participate in the education program? Pause 10 seconds. 30 students from 3 nearby elementary schools. Question 6. What ongoing challenges does the project face? Pause 10 seconds. Maintenance costs, seasonal weather challenges, and the need for continued volunteer participation. Let's review the news vocabulary. Initiative, a new project or program. Thriving, growing successfully. Vacant lot, empty piece of land. Overwhelming response, much more positive reaction than expected. Communal, shared by the community. Contamination, pollution or harmful substances. Remediation, the process of cleaning or fixing something. Comprehensive, thorough and complete. Integrated, combined or incorporated. Allocating, designating or setting aside money. Dedicated volunteers, committed people who donate their time. Long-term vision, future goals and plans. Our final segment is a casual conversation between two friends, Alex and Jordan, who are planning a surprise birthday party for their friend Sam. This dialogue will help you practice informal English, including slang, contractions, and conversational phrases. Listen for the planning details, the friends' different opinions, and how they resolve their disagreements. Pay attention to the casual, friendly tone and informal expressions. Here's the friendship conversation. Hey, Jordan, I'm so glad you could meet up. We really need to nail down the details for Sam's surprise party. Absolutely. I can't believe Sam's turning 30 next week. It feels like we were just in college together. So, what's the plan? Well, I've been thinking we should do something at my place. My backyard is pretty spacious, and we could set up tables outside if the weather's nice. That sounds great, but have you checked the weather forecast? It's been pretty unpredictable lately. You're right. I looked it up this morning, and there's a chance of rain on Saturday. Maybe we should have a backup plan? Definitely. We could always move everything inside if needed. Your living room is big enough for maybe 15 people, right? Yeah, that should work. Speaking of people, I've been going back and forth on the guest list. Should we invite Sam's coworkers or keep it just to close friends? That's tricky. I think Sam would appreciate having some work friends there, especially since they've been spending so much time together on that big project. You know what? You're probably right. Sam's always talking about how much fun the team is. I'll send invitations to Mike and Sarah from the office. Perfect. Now, what about food? Are we doing a full meal or just appetizers and cake? I was leaning toward appetizers and finger foods. It's more casual and people can mingle easier. Plus, it's way less stressful for us to organize. I love that idea. We could do a potluck style. Ask everyone to bring something. That way we get variety and it's not all on us. Brilliant! I'll coordinate who brings what so we don't end up with 10 desserts and no main dishes. Good thinking. What about decorations? Should we go with a specific theme? I was thinking we could do something related to Sam's favorite hobby. You know, how obsessed they are with hiking and nature. Oh, that's perfect. We could do green and brown colors, maybe some plants, and those string lights that look like little leaves. Yes! And I saw these cute wooden signs online that say things like adventure awaits and take a hike. Sam would get a kick out of those. Sam would absolutely love that. You're so creative. What about music? Should we make a playlist? I already started one. I've got all of Sam's favorite songs from college, plus some new stuff I know they've been listening to lately. You're on top of everything. One more thing. What about the actual surprise part? How are we getting Sam there without spoiling it? I've got it covered. I'm going to tell Sam that we're just hanging out, maybe watching a movie. Then, when we get to my house, everyone will be hiding in the backyard. That's genius! Sam will be so shocked, in the best way, of course. I really hope so. Sam deserves something special, especially after that stressful few months at work. It's going to be amazing. Sam is so lucky to have a friend like you who puts this much thought into making them happy. Aw, thanks. But honestly, I couldn't do this without you. You always have the best ideas and keep me organized. That's what friends are for. I'm so excited for Saturday. This is going to be the best surprise ever. Now let's check your comprehension of this friendship conversation. Question 1. What milestone birthday is Sam celebrating? Sam is turning 30. Question 2. What backup plan do they have in case of rain? They can move the party inside to Alex's living room. Question 3. What food style did they decide on? Appetizers and finger foods in a potluck style, where everyone brings something. Question 4. What theme did they choose for decorations? A nature hiking theme with green and brown colors, plants, and string lights. Question 5. How is Alex planning to get Sam to the party without spoiling the surprise? By telling Sam they're just hanging out and watching a movie. Let's review the casual friendship vocabulary. Nail down, to finalize or decide on details. Spacious, having a lot of room. Unpredictable, hard to predict or forecast. Going back and forth, changing your mind repeatedly. Tricky, difficult to decide. Leaning toward, preferring or favoring. Mingle, to socialize and move around talking to different people. Potluck, a meal where everyone brings a dish to share. Get a kick out of, to find something amusing or enjoyable. On top of everything, well organized and prepared. Spoiling it, ruining the surprise. That's what friends are for, expressing mutual support. Notice how Alex and Jordan used collaborative language like, "What do you think?" "You're right," and "good thinking." They also used contractions frequently, which is very natural in casual conversation. Congratulations! You've completed a full hour of intensive English listening practice. We've covered 5 different types of listening situations: a personal story, a job interview, a restaurant conversation, a news report, and a casual friendship dialogue. Each segment challenged different aspects of your listening comprehension. The travel story focused on narrative structure and past tense usage. The job interview tested your understanding of formal, professional English. The restaurant conversation practiced service interactions and polite requests. The news report challenged you with multiple speakers, formal vocabulary, and information processing. Finally, the friendship dialogue exposed you to casual, informal English with slang and contractions. Here are my top tips for improving your listening skills. First, don't expect to understand every word. Focus on getting the main ideas and key details. Native speakers also miss words sometimes. It's normal. Second, pay attention to context clues. If you don't understand a word, the surrounding words often give you hints about the meaning. Third, notice the speaker's tone and emotion. This helps you understand the situation and the relationship between speakers. Fourth, practice regularly with different types of content. Real-world English includes various accents, speeds, and topics. Finally, be patient with yourself. Listening comprehension improves gradually with consistent practice. Your homework for this week: choose one segment from today's episode and listen to it again. Try to write down the main points without looking at the transcript. Then, pick 3 new vocabulary words and use them in your own sentences. Remember, every time you practice listening, you're building stronger neural pathways in your brain for processing English. You're doing great work. Thank you for joining me for this intensive listening practice session. I'm Emma Richards, and I'll see you next time for another exciting episode of English Listening Practice. Keep listening, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing in your progress. You've got this. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Artificial Fluency Podcast. I'm Emma, your host, and I am so excited you've decided to spend this hour with me today. This is episode 23, and if you're new here, welcome to our little community of English learners who believe that learning a language is about so much more than just grammar and vocabulary. It's about connecting with others, growing as a person, and discovering new perspectives about life. Today's episode is very special to me because we're going to talk about something that I'm truly passionate about: life lessons that have the power to change everything. You know, as I've been teaching English and meeting students from all around the world, I've realized that the most meaningful conversations we have aren't just about language learning, they're about life itself. Whether you're 16 or 60, whether you're just starting your English journey or you've been studying for years, I believe that the stories and lessons we'll share today will resonate with you. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings trying to figure out this beautiful, complicated thing called life. In the next hour, we'll explore 3 powerful themes that have personally transformed my life and the lives of so many people I've met. First, we'll talk about the courage to embrace failure and how our biggest mistakes often become our greatest teachers. Then, we'll dive deep into the importance of authentic relationships and how learning to be vulnerable can completely change the quality of our connections with others. Finally, we'll discuss the journey of finding your purpose and how sometimes the path to your dreams looks nothing like what you expected. But before we begin, I want you to know that this isn't just a listening exercise. As we go through these stories and lessons, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences. Maybe grab a notebook or just think about how these ideas relate to your own life. Learning English becomes so much more meaningful when we connect it to our personal experiences and emotions. And remember, you can always find the complete transcript of this episode on our website, along with reflection questions and vocabulary lists. If something we discussed today touches your heart or sparks an idea, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out through our website or social media. Your stories and insights always inspire me and our entire community. So, are you ready to embark on this journey of discovery together? Let's dive in. Let's start with something that I think every single person listening to this can relate to: failure. Now, I know that might not sound like the most uplifting way to begin, but stick with me here, because I truly believe that learning to embrace failure is one of the most liberating and transformative things you can do in your life. My personal story of failure. I want to share something very personal with you. When I was 25 years old, I thought I had my entire life figured out. I had what looked like a perfect job at a prestigious marketing company in London. I was earning good money, I had a nice apartment, and from the outside, everything looked successful. But here's the truth. I was absolutely miserable. Every morning, I would wake up with this heavy feeling in my chest, dreading the day ahead. I felt like I was living someone else's life, following a path that society told me was successful, but that made me feel empty inside. The breaking point came during what I now call the presentation disaster. I was supposed to present a major campaign to one of our biggest clients. I had prepared for weeks, everything was perfect on paper. But when I stood up in that conference room, something inside me just broke. I started crying in the middle of my presentation. Not just a few tears, I'm talking about full-on sobbing in front of 20 important business executives. I was mortified. I apologized, excused myself, and basically ran out of the building. That night, I was convinced my career was over. I felt like such a failure, like I had ruined everything I had worked so hard to build. But you know what? That moment of complete breakdown became the catalyst for the most positive change in my life. Redefining failure. That experience taught me something crucial. What we call failure is often just life's way of redirecting us towards something better. That breakdown in the conference room wasn't really a failure. It was my authentic self finally saying, "This isn't who you're meant to be." Within 6 months of that incident, I had quit my job, enrolled in a teaching certification program, and started planning my move to different countries to teach English. My friends and family thought I had lost my mind. They kept asking, "Why would you give up such a good job?" But for the first time in years, I felt alive. Now, 7 years later, I can honestly say that failing at that presentation was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It forced me to confront the fact that I was living a life that wasn't authentic to who I really was. The fear of making mistakes. One thing I've noticed, especially with my English students, is how paralyzed we become by the fear of making mistakes. In language learning, this fear is particularly destructive because making mistakes is literally how we learn. But this fear extends far beyond language learning. It affects every area of our lives. I remember one of my students, Maria, who was incredibly intelligent and had excellent English grammar knowledge, but in conversation classes, she would barely speak. When I asked her why, she said, "Emma, I'm so afraid of saying something wrong. What if people laugh at me? What if I sound stupid?" We spent weeks working on this mindset. I shared my own embarrassing language mistakes, like the time I accidentally told a group of Spanish speakers that I was embarazada, pregnant, instead of avergonzada when I made a mistake. Everyone burst out laughing, and initially I was mortified, but then I realized that mistake made everyone more relaxed, it created a moment of connection and humor, and I never forgot the correct word again. Maria gradually began to understand that her mistakes were actually opportunities for connection and learning. By the end of the course, she was one of the most confident speakers in the class. The growth mindset. This brings me to one of the most important concepts I've learned: the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. With a fixed mindset, we believe our abilities are static. We're either good at something or we're not. With a growth mindset, we believe our abilities can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. When you have a fixed mindset, failure feels devastating because it seems to prove that you're not good enough. But when you have a growth mindset, failure becomes valuable feedback that helps you improve. I've seen this transformation in so many of my students. Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at English," they start saying, "I'm not good at this yet, but I'm learning." That simple word, yet, changes everything. Learning from setbacks. Let me tell you about another